So now, so we had it application, right? What app we created? Account versus contacts.
Yeah, that is fine. Search for Aura component in that.
Yeah, here Aura components. In Aura components, we have a search. If I say any search here, it will alert from a Java thread. So how we are reading this value based on what concept that we are reading this value? We are reading this value based on the component ID. Even right, you don't want to consider that the entire component is a component. Yes, it's a component, but lightning input itself is a different component. You understood this? Lightning input itself is a different component. What is the namespace here? What is the namespace for input? Lightning input.
Oh,
Lightning is the input. See, you remember in our earlier session that we discussed C colon your child component name, right? Yes or no? C colon, and even we created Canada ILD, right? What is Canada ILD in our case? Namespace. Any doubt in this?
no, no, no.
Even lightning input, lightning layout itself is a different component. Lightning layout is a different component. P tag is a HTML attribute. Lightning card itself another component. So what is happening here? Every time you are referring to some other component here, like lightning layout. Who provided these components for you? Salesforce provided, isn't it? All this lightning layout item, lightning input, who provided us? It's something we created or we got used by, we use it from Salesforce libraries. Whatever you are using from component library, those components will be referred as base components. What are those components are referred as? Base components. Base components provided by Salesforce. Clear? Any question on this? Looks like no feedback, guys. It would be nice if we can get a feedback. Hello. Hello.
Deepak, no doubt. My
Okay.
audio got disconnected. That's
Mm-hmm. So now, how we are reading a value from this attribute, from this search parameter? Here we are not having any attribute, right? We never define any attribute, isn't it? We define only our ID for input search field, and in the helper side, how on click of button, you are doing alert function and you are updating, right? Search field component dot find search field. What is this search field is referring to? Component dot find your Aura ID. Component dot find your Aura ID, and then whatever the component you retrieve from there you can get v dot value. If you can ask me, hey, why you are referring v dot why you are referring only v dot value? Can I access my placeholder? Yes, of course. You can also access your placeholder. See, let such placeholder equal to search field dot get. You can access any attribute. You can access any attribute whatever you define here. Okay, you understood this? You can access any attribute whatever you define here, like type, placeholder, variant, Aura ID, and everything you can able to access it. Deploy it. What is the placeholder that we are referring to? Search for accounts, isn't it? Yes, no. Alert. Placeholder colon plus search field. deploy this to source arc. Okay, perfect. Let's go back and Control Shift I, or you can right click on it, inspect elements. And I mean, why I'm saying this, in Mac the command will be different. Command Shift I, it's not Control. Right click on it on the refresh button, empty cache and hard reload. Empty cache and hard reload. It means that it will load a fresh copy of your output from a server directly instead of browser caching. Now I'm typing it as a Deepak search. My action got started. So I can able to read my value whatever I inputted, and I can also read the placeholder, isn't it? Search for accounts. I can able to read, isn't it?
Huh.
Okay. 1 minute, please. Yeah. So now we can able to read. So what I'm trying to say
Deepak,
guys, yeah, please.
we used let after search field, right? That is user defined or normal.
This one let.
After that, search field, search value, search
These are the
placeholder.
variables, right? It has same as writing a
We just
string.
okay, okay. That is our
String
just user defined.
uname.
Okay, okay.
And this is like a variable name. So here let is for in JavaScript, right? We don't define any string or anything else. We always define like let or constant or this one.
Okay, okay. Got it.
Okay. So this is like a your variables. You can define anything. For let is a generic data type that we use in JavaScript. You don't want to customize this one. Now here the main concept, guys, what I'm trying to explain here is search field is an your lightning component ID, input field ID, isn't it?
Yes.
So first you need to identify your component. Once the component got identified, then you can read any value whatever you have here, like type, placeholder, variant, and you know, right, for lightning input you will be always having a value. If I say value equal to double quote, then this is also a valid case. So my assumption, you don't want to see all the attributes here, but in backend this will show up. Why it will backend it will show up? Let's go here. Little up, highlight your picker, highlight it, click on it. You can see right here lightning input, type text input, aura attribute, false, placeholder, class input. As soon as you see a class input, if it is a input tag, so what is by default, it will contain a value should have, right? It accepts some value, isn't it? That value we are reading from here, that value we are reading from here called dot v dot value. If as a user, if as a person, you are planning to take another component like placeholder, you wanted to read an extra parameter called placeholder, then you can also leverage a placeholder concept. Clear? Any questions on this? Any questions on this?
No.
No.
Okay. Now we need to understand a little bit. So as you know, right, you know how what is data binding, data assignment inside a .html, I mean .cmp file, isn't it? Exclamatory mark and hash mark, isn't it? But
Yeah.
we need to understand how we can do this in JavaScript side. Let's we understand more. So let's say I'll copy paste the same structure again. I'll copy paste the same structure again. This is just an explanation, okay? For data operations on client side. See, all these examples will go as a bit and pieces, so focus on the concepts. Such action, and I'll change the action name here. Data assignment, search for accounts, and I'll also say, yeah, search for accounts. Here I'll say data bind field, data bind. Now we have two such buttons, right? Data bind. Deploy this to sourcer. Deploy this to sourcer. Now we'll understand one thing. First, we'll decide a concept what we need to obtain this. Refresh it. Data bind is going down. It's fine for now. So understand this. If I type anything here, Vamsi, if I click search, the Vamsi should populate here. Okay, Vamsi should populate here. Even if I change anything here, like Vamsi Krishna, Vamsi Krishnan, then if I don't click search, then the value should not update in this component. Clear? Any question? But if it is a reverse way of direction, let's say here I type Vamsi, I click a data binding, here also it should be Vamsi. But if I modify here Vamsi Krishnan, without clicking a button, here also it should update Vamsi Krishnan. You got it, the concept, the one we are trying to do now? Any question? At a concept wise at least?
No.
You understood, right? What we are trying to get?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before to that, first we need to define methods. So what is the Aura ID for this? Data bind field, right? As soon as I click a search, the value should update, isn't it? Yes or no? So for that, what we need to find? Get second input component details. How to get second input component details? I'll say second input equal to hey, 1 minute. I think oh my god, I did it wrong. I need to remove this. Remove 3. Okay. Get second input component details. Now I'll say let second. Why I'm saying second input just for a naming convention, because we had second component. So the same thing component dot find which ID I need to use, second component ID, isn't it? So I'm using my data bind field, which is Aura ID that I used for the second input field. And from this I'll say let. Then whatever value I entered here, I need to set that. So then I'll say second input dot set. We can do a set also. To get a value, we are using dot get v dot value. To set a value, we are using v dot value, comma, your input value. Any question on this? Any question?
No,
For reading value, we are using dot get v dot value. For setting value, we are setting for that component by saying v dot set value. I mean set v dot value comma such value. Such value is nothing but your input value that we are getting, right? And we have another method. Function. I'm just saying component comma event comma helper. This is my second value, and here we don't need it. And this is my first value, right? Yes or no? Any question? This is my second value, this is first value. But we'll understand the first scenario is working or not. On click of search, whether the data is updating to the new attribute or not. Let's go back, refresh it. Let's go back and refresh it, and we'll validate now. As I mentioned earlier, OMC on click of search. Oh, action started. OMC got updated, but let me update it. So it's not updating, right? Even if I click search, okay, it's updating OMC only. But what if I update here? No, it's not changing, isn't it? It's not changing. On click of search, then it is coming. So this is what we expected in the first case, isn't it? For search. What actually here it is happening? It is doing a data assignment. It's not doing data binding. So whenever it is a data binding, if I change even here, it should reflect in this input. Okay, you understood the concept, right? What is data binding means?
Yes.
Now, for second value, how to read a value? Let's say, let's second input now what I can do here, component search field dot set v dot value comma second input. Here we use only get v dot value, isn't it? We use a get v dot value. Instead of get, we can use get reference v dot value. Get reference v dot value. Technically, what I am doing here, what I have to get second field memory location equal to, this is what we are doing. Instead of simply using get, we are using get reference. Get reference always gets you to the memory location. So what it is doing, you are assigning a same memory location for both input fields. You got it? Here we are using get. Here we are using get reference. Any question? But we'll see whether it will work or not. Before we decide anything, let's understand whether it is working or not. I'm saying, see, you got it. Oh, it's not updating. Chris, data binding. What is going wrong? There is an issue. There is an issue. Event is not successful. So what you need to do for a debug, go to sources. And here we already open a code. For we need to debug it. Let's debug it step by step. Data binding. We got here, and we got the memory location. second input dot. So first we need to understand what is this second input contains. Let's go back and we'll put from console.log. Well, we can also do in this. You can see any method saying that get reference. We have only get name v dot value, but is there any method get event, get global ID? We don't have anything. Get local also we don't have anything. So what is missing here? The method I'm trying to refer which is not existing only, isn't it? The method whatever I'm trying which is not existing, isn't it? Get reference is not there from the console, right? Or you will able to see it?
Not there.
Not there. So it means you will not able to do a data binding concept by using Aura IDs. What is not possible? Data binding concept cannot be implemented by using Aura IDs. If you can ask me a question, hey, if this is not a case, how can I use it? If this is not a case, how can I use it? Then simply we can update by using Aura attribute name equal to search field type equal to string, and you can also say second field, and you can also say second field. So I'll use this as a value e dot value, and here I'll use this as a search field. So what I have defined, you know how to create our attributes, isn't it? Or do you want me to explain it again? You know how to create an attributes, isn't it? Our
Yes.
attributes.
Yes.
So our attributes are simple variables which will store an information for you. So I define our attributes, right? I leave this concept as it is. I don't even care about it. But here I'll change a little bit. Hello? Yeah, Gautam? Your voice is breaking. Is that only for me or everyone?
Is it just
For me also it was breaking, Deepak.
Okay. Gautam, I'm not able to. Can you repeat it now, your question?
no?
If you
Previously, your voice and screen was.
Maybe network issue on the Gautam side, I think.
okay. For you guys, it is okay, right? My voice, my screen, they are
Yes, yes.
compatible, right?
Yes, Deepak, everything clear.
Okay. So now our attributes is fine. Then here I'm doing chain, simple chain. I'll say let second field equal to component dot get v dot search second field. Instead of get, we can always use get reference. We can use get reference. Get reference, and we can say component dot set search field component dot set v dot search field comma second field. So here I'm passing a value or I'm passing a reference. What I'm passing here? Reference, right? Get reference, isn't it? Reference in the sense a memory location, memory address. So what I'm doing, I'm setting second field memory address to the first field memory address. It means now they are pointing to the same memory, isn't it? Technically, they are pointing to the same memory, isn't it, right?
Yes.
Now, let's close this, refresh it. Now, again, first we'll repeat our first use case, OMC, search. And even if I modify anything, it's not updating until unless I click another search, right? But let me do data binding. I'll say OMC. If I click data binding, the first field should get update OMC. Now what happening? Now data binding got happened, isn't it?
Yes.
Now here see. Now these two fields are become binded now, right or no? But if I click search again, let's say OMC Krish search. Now what we are passing here, we are doing a data assignment, right? Now if I modify, it's modified. Now what happening? They become like a data binding. So if I want to remove this data binding, all I need to do first, component dot. As soon as I come here, component dot set v dot field value, comma, undefined. Declare. As soon as I mention undefined, it means that it becomes null. I mean blank. When it is blank, it forgets its memory addresses. Clear? This is just to keep our first concept always working. Any questions? Let's say OMC data by. Okay, it's not okay. Cool. So once data binding, it's very hard to remove it. Now they are doing data binding. Okay. Any question here? Get reference and difference between get reference and get. Get is kind of a hashtag, okay? Get is kind of a hash. What is meant by hash? It passes value, right? Hash means it passes value, isn't it?
Yes.
What is explanatory mark? It passes value. It is not passing value, it passes a memory location. When it passes a memory location, so imagine always whatever you change in that memory address will it gonna reflect to the same place. It is simple concept. If you have a synced folder like your OneDrive or a Google Drive folder shared with your friends or your family members, if you add or modify anything in that folder, will everyone can able to access those modified files, isn't it?
Yes, they can.
Yeah. What if you copy a pen drive of data, folder into a pen drive, different pen drives, and you shared with them, and you modified in one of the pen drive the folder structure by adding a new content? So will all pen drives will get update automatically?
No.
That you need to do manually, right?
Yes.
That manual stuff is something called get, which is nothing but an assignment, value assignment. So every time you modify, you need to ensure that you have to resync those values back in all the places if required. But reference in the sense everyone is sharing, I mean accessing data from a common location. This way, right? You don't want to focus on data maintenance. You don't want to maintain your variable memory because all the different variables are referring to the same point of location. So the data remains constant and stable.